Hi, welcome to this edition of How To Cute. My name is Quinn. I am showing you today how to do, of course, a gallery or photo wall, hence the title. I'm doing a 9-frame wall. You can use what I'm going to teach you today on a 2-frame wall, a 50-frame wall. I learned from an awesome guy named Dave. Here's some of his work. He works for a designer at The Lifestyle Co. Designers, I should say. But The Lifestyle Co., Kristen, Kylie, I encourage you to follow them. They do great work. Get some of those photos off your computer, off your phone, onto your wall. This is a great way to do it, great way to upgrade your look. Let's get started. Okay, this project is all about measurements. It doesn't matter what size frame you use. I happen to be using a 19 3/4, whether it's a 2-inch frame, a 50-inch frame. The principles I show you today, you can use for all of those. So back to that 19 3/4, okay? Don't believe the packaging, all right? Mine was not 19 3/4, which was 50 centimeters. It was really 20 1/2, okay? So my frame is 20 1/2 by 20 1/2. It's a perfect square, okay? And I'm gonna put 2 inches, between those frames. So there's gonna be 2 inches on the top and all the sides, all right? So knowing those measurements is key. Now you need to set up your wall. Every wall is going to be set up differently. I'm going to show you quickly how I set my wall up. Obviously, you want to kind of center what you're doing. Some people don't, but I'm going to show you.
All right, this is the wall that I'm going to put the gallery up on. I'm going to center it between these two switch plates, light plates, whatever you want to call them. The goal is to make 9 marks where I can hang those frames about like that. This is what the frames will eventually sort of look like, but it's close enough just to give you a visual. I'm figuring out the center, which, like it says there, is 60 1/4. The next thing I need to do is check how high I need to go. I definitely want it above this 1.5 chair, which is about 36 inches. Now you just need to sit down with a piece of paper and come up with your plan. Like I mentioned earlier, the center of where my gallery is going to be is 60 1/4. The top of that couch is 36 inches from the floor. Hope you're following me here. So what you've got to do is add the distance of that little hook in the back of the frame to the top of the couch, which ends up being 52 1/8, I believe. So when you're figuring out your layout, you take your frame size, mine's 20 1/2, the gap, which is 2 inches, and 22.5. 22 1/2 inches is every nail is going to be 22 1/2 inches from the next one. This is me just figuring out where I'm going to put the first one. I'm going to put it 16 1/8 over the couch, which ends up being 52 1/8. I'll expand on that in my next example. Don't you love these visual aids? All right, so again, to simplify this layout, I'm going to do 9 frames, 22 1/2 inches between every single nail. 22 1/2. Getting that? Okay, now that I know those numbers, this is the center row of my 9-picture gallery. 36 inches from the floor, I come up, I add the 16 1/8, which is where the first nail will go for that bottom picture. So I add 22 1/2 to 52 1/8, and I come up with, what do I come up with? Think, 74 5/8. All right, then I take 74 5/8, I add 22 1/2 to that, and I come up with 97 1/8, I think. We'll see if that's what I get. There it is. Okay, so when I measure from the floor, that center row, I'm going to have 3 screws. I'm going to use drywall screws at 52 1/8, at 74 5/8, and 97 1/8. Okay, now I just have to transfer what I wrote on my little whiteboard onto this wall. So again, I'm marking from the center of those 2 faceplates, 60.5, and I'm coming up 36 inches. I'm going to come up to 37. Here's the 4-foot level. You have to have this for this project or it's going to be painful. Go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot, buy one, return it at the end of the day. Just go get one. I use mine obviously all the time, one of my most important tools. And this is actually the most important line that I'm drawing because you want this to be definitely centered. So then I just mark my points where I'm going to put 52 1/8, 74 5/8, and 97 1/8, I think it was. And now I have to get the supervisor in here to make sure that she likes the work that I'm doing.
She said yes to the plan, not to the dress.
All right, now that that meeting is over, I'm going to put some blue tape along that center line and where I left those marks to help you guys see it.
When I'm measuring, when I'm hanging anything, when I'm making exact, I'm going 22.5, but I start on the 4 because you can see that play. There's play in the hook. Boom, boom. So what I do is I start with 4 and I go to 26.5. I just don't use this as the last mark. That's a huge tip for hanging those darn pictures where you have to put 2 little nails in to level it out. So I'm using 4 and 26.5.
Now that I know where those center pictures are going, I just go right and left 22.5 inches from those center marks. I'm using my 4-foot level. I'm putting the 4-inch mark on that center point and then going right to 26.5 and vice versa. And I got to get everything lined up and I double and triple check all those points and I'm ready to go.
Okay, now that it's level, now I'm checking 22.5 everywhere. It's just a big square. Now you hope they all line up.
So now all I'm doing here is checking the vertical 22.5 and the horizontal 22.5 one more time. When I marked the ones earlier, I just had my 4-foot level, so I was just checking 22.5 inches on the horizontal. So I'm just checking everything and triple checking. Those drywall screws I use have a little give, so I don't have to be exact here.
All right, so I've checked, I've double checked. Now it's time to hang, and now the question is, what kind of hardware do you use? All right, I'm going to use these drywall screws. Okay, this is I think they're 1-inch drywall screws. I'm going to put them in a little bit of an angle, but I'm going to keep the angle, or try and keep the angle the same on all of them. What's nice about these is if they're a little off, I can adjust them up and down just a tad. And again, these are 1-pound frames, so it's not like they're going to fall off. If you've got heavier items, I love Ooks, O-O-K-S. A link is in the description for those. You can literally hang anything with an Ook, 100 pounds down to 2 pounds. But I like drywall screws because I can maneuver a little bit. So now all I have to do is screw these in. We'll do that now. Okay, before you start screwing in, make sure you know what kind of material is back there. Believe it or not, this is a block wall behind here. So I've got 1x2, which is a 3/4 inch piece of wood by 2 inches holding up this drywall. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to hit one of those pieces of wood. So get a stud finder.
All right, I do a quick scan of the wall. There's going to be no issues, just 1-inch drywall screws. I'm going to include a graphic here to, again, give you the big picture. It's 22.5 inches in all directions. There's 9 of them. You have one more opportunity to do a check, so I grab my 4-foot level and I check level again. Here I'm trying to show you the exact angle I put them in, which is really tough. Sorry, my camera work isn't the best. Now the easy part. We get to just throw the frames up here and see how it works out. Another tool you're going to need is a torpedo level, pictured here. Kind of a must-have in my house, probably yours too. They're cheap. You're going to use them all the time. Just having a level in the house is nice. Of course, I'm saying this. I'm a little biased. I use it all the time. But I throw these up here. I was leveling them as I went, and then I stepped back and noticed one was a little off.
Now I'm going to show you why I like the drywall screws. I barely moved that down. It's still solid, so let's see what it looks like now.
So it's a lot better to be high than low. This one was a little high so I can move it down. It's tough to move it up because then that screw is just going to want to drop again. So luckily this was high and it worked out great.
Should have gotten a better shot of that butt.
So you can see that center one is lined up now. Sorry I didn't get that shot of it being a little bit high, but man, everything is lined up, looks great, just the way I wanted it to be.
Okay, as you can tell, it's all in the details, it's all in the planning and having the right tools, finding one of these, get them at Lowe's, return it that same day if you'd like. Also prints, real quick tip on prints, don't just fire down to CVS and Walgreens. God man, they're gonna be expensive. We're doing 12 by 12s in here and it's costing us $3.79 through Costco. If you learned something, press that like, hit the bottom right to subscribe. If you've got tips or if you'd like to give me a shout out, just leave that in the comments. All of that helps support my channel. I really appreciate it. Now quit binge watching YouTube like I do on Saturdays and go do something.